In my mid-60s, I experienced something terrifying. I couldn't remember what happened yesterday. I was forgetting simple tasks, losing my train of thought, and feeling my mind slip away. I thought it was just getting older. But I applied my engineering failure analysis to my own body and discovered the real culprit. And it was sitting right inside my medicine cabinet. Today, we are looking at the standard of care that stole my memory. I am a very goal-oriented individual. Every morning, my routine begins with meditation, followed by about 15 minutes of reflecting on my mental plan for the specific things I want to accomplish that day. During my mid-60s, that routine took a disturbing turn. I went to start my planned activities for the day, only to discover I had already done them. I was surprised, but pleased, and just moved on to other things. But when the exact same thing happened the next day, I was completely baffled. I could not understand how these tasks were getting completed without me remembering them. On the third day, I decided to keep comprehensive notes detailing everything I did. When day 4 arrived, I pulled out my notebook. Staring at my own handwriting, I had absolutely no memory of doing any of those things. I was deeply concerned and went to talk to my wife. Fortunately, she immediately recognized what was happening. It was a side effect of the statin drugs I had started taking just a month earlier. My cardiologist had recommended them, assuring me they were the safest drugs in the world. He told me they were so safe that most doctors take them as a daily preventative medicine. Even though I typically avoid drugs, he made it sound completely harmless. Just to be sure, I got a second opinion from my primary care physician, who told me the exact same story. So, I started taking them. After this frightening brush with memory loss, I did some investigation. I discovered a shocking statistic. 85% of people who take statin drugs have some degree of memory loss. Unfortunately, for some people, that memory loss is total and forever. But memory loss is just the tip of the iceberg. When you look at the research from doctors like Ken Berry and Paul Mason, the list of known side effects from statins reads like a horror story. Taking a statin actively lowers your testosterone and depletes your cellular energy by stripping your body of coenzyme Q10. They are notorious for causing muscle damage and even muscle destruction. They can cause liver damage, fatal liver failure, nerve damage, and blood in the urine. Furthermore, the Women's Health Initiative found a 71% increased risk of developing diabetes for people on statins. Perhaps most terrifyingly, FDA data shows that certain statins are associated with a 57 times higher risk of motor neuron disease and a staggering 107 times higher risk of developing ALS, or Lou Gehrig's disease. In my case, I was fortunate. Because I caught it early, I immediately stopped taking the statin drugs, and about a week later, my memory was back to normal. If it had not been for my wife's understanding of statins and my own analysis, I might have lost my memory forever. When engineers see a complex system break down, we don't just treat the symptom, we isolate the root cause. When we apply a failure analysis to statin drugs, the mechanism behind my memory loss becomes painfully clear. The human brain is heavily dependent on cholesterol to function, to build cell membranes, and to create neural pathways. Cholesterol is essential to maintaining the myelin sheath that insulates our nerve endings and allows them to function efficiently. Statins are designed to do exactly one thing: chemically block your liver from producing cholesterol. We are taking a vital natural process and artificially crippling it. A growing number of independent doctors are speaking out against this deeply flawed standard of care. Dr. Anthony Chaffee points out a staggering contradiction to the mainstream medical narrative. We actually have 50 years of data showing that actively reducing your cholesterol increases cardiovascular disease. As an engineer, if I see decades of field data showing a system fails when we alter a specific variable, my conclusion is to stop altering that variable. Dr. Sten Ekberg highlights two massive studies that prove the exact same point. The data clearly shows that people with higher cholesterol are actually more likely to live longer. High cholesterol is consistently linked to lower all-cause mortality. Yet, we are prescribing powerful drugs to hundreds of millions of people to artificially crush those numbers. So, if the side effects are so severe and the data shows higher cholesterol is actually protective, how do pharmaceutical companies convince doctors to prescribe these drugs? It comes down to a statistical trick: relative risk versus actual or absolute risk. As Dr. Ken Berry explains, drug companies love to advertise their relative risk reduction. They will claim that taking a statin lowers your risk of a heart attack by 29%, your risk of stroke by 14%, and your risk of dying by 9%. That sounds fantastic until you look at the raw data for the actual risk reduction. In reality, taking a statin drug every single day for years only gives you an actual risk reduction of 1.3% for a heart attack. The actual risk reduction for dying is just 0.8%, which is basically statistical background noise. And the actual risk reduction for having a stroke? A completely unimpressive 0.4%. You are risking dementia, liver failure, and muscle destruction for less than a 1% improvement in your actual health. Now, to be completely accurate with our failure analysis, there is one specific exception in the data. If you have already had a documented heart attack, you fall into a category called secondary prevention. According to the research from doctors like Ken Berry and Paul Mason, there is some evidence that statins might provide a marginal benefit in these specific cases to help prevent a second episode. But for the vast majority of people taking them for primary prevention, simply trying to lower a number on a chart, the actual risk reduction is virtually non-existent. If the drugs don't work, why are they the standard of care? Dr. Ekberg lays out the financial blueprint perfectly. Prior to 1987, anything below 300 for total cholesterol was considered completely normal. There were zero candidates for statin medications, but in 1987, the very first statin drug was approved. In that exact same year, a new national cholesterol education program was launched, and pretty much overnight, the definition of normal cholesterol was dropped from 300 down to 200. By changing a single number on a chart, the medical industry created 10 million new customers instantly. As they released updated guidelines over the years, they continued to push the optimal LDL levels lower and lower. In 2004, the Journal of the American Medical Association published an article revealing a massive conflict of interest. 8 out of the 9 panel members responsible for writing those cholesterol guidelines had direct financial ties to the very companies manufacturing the statin drugs. To protect this trillion-dollar industry, the pharmaceutical companies employ massive political pressure. Today, there are roughly 1,820 full-time lobbyists working for the pharmaceutical industry in Washington. That equates to about 3.4 full-time lobbyists assigned to influence every single voting member of Congress. Lowering your LDL cholesterol with a pill does not solve the root cause of metabolic dysfunction. It just masks the symptom while enriching a massive industry and introducing a host of severe system-wide failures to your body. If you found this information and failure analysis helpful, please consider subscribing and sharing this video with someone who might be struggling with conventional dietary or medical advice. Until next time, keep questioning the narrative and take control of your own metabolic health.